Tougher measures are on the way to break the back of crime. The National Security Minister speaks out.
Investigations continue into that double homicide in Yellow Elder Gardens last night.
And a fine paid, a former senator dishing out thousands after being fined for ammunition possession. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Keish Latterly.
And I'm Charisma Robinson.
Well, we want to start tonight by apologizing. Viewers of the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report, the Northern Edition, would have noted that the program did not air this evening due to technical difficulties beyond our control. We are, however, addressing the problem, and the program should be aired as scheduled tomorrow evening. But starting off with news tonight, tougher measures are on the way to address the vexing crime issue in the country. This from the National Security Minister, the Honorable Dr. Bernard Nottage, as he revealed measures being implemented to break the back of crime. The announcement coming during debate on a resolution to borrow $20 million from the Inter-American Development Bank for a citizen security program. During his address, the National Security Minister also foreshadowed the police plan for 2016. Here's Janaea Ferguson.
Crime a top priority for government as 3 people have been murdered in the span of one day on Tuesday, totaling 8 homicides for the year, on the heels of a record-breaking murder count of 149 last year. Minister of National Security Dr. Bernard Nottage addressed the issue.
I don't know anybody who's not taking crime seriously, and I completely understand how people feel about having severe penalties, and I do not disagree. But while you are issuing that kind of penalty, unless you are able to develop some transformation in that person, they're not going to be a better person as a result of it.
It has been long suggested for the government to drop the Privy Council and enforce capital punishment, which is already on the law books.
As the capital punishment, I think the country heard what the Chief Justice said the other day, and that is that it seems to be extremely unlikely that anybody would suffer from capital punishment. There will be some rather stiff measures taken. The Prime Minister, as you would remember, said some weeks ago that the things that we may have to do will impinge on people's privacy, but if we want to have a crime-free society or at least reduce crime, then we're going to have to tolerate some of the things that we might not otherwise wish to tolerate.
Describing the crime problem as annoying, frustrating, and vexing. The Commissioner of Police is expected to reveal new crime-fighting measures soon that Nottage said will include more police in hotspot areas and increased patrol of borders where guns are commonly illegally imported. Now, a recent meeting was held with United States FBI officials to seek solutions on crime.
We wanted to see how they are dealing with the gang problem. So we had the opportunity to spend some time with one of the task forces from the FBI. And we had a very interesting dialogue with them to the extent that we thought that we would invite the task force with whom we had a chat to come and talk to a wider group of people, including the police, but also people in civil society, so that whenever we create any new policies, people would understand them.
Nottage's comments came as the government debates a resolution to borrow some $20 million from the IDB for a citizen security program. Janaea Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
As authorities introduce new crime-fighting measures, investigations continue into that double homicide in Yellow Elder Gardens last night. Our Jared Higgs tells us that the shooters used high-powered weapons.
Police are investigating the country's 7th and 8th homicides for the year following a double shooting in Yellow Elder Gardens. According to Chief Superintendent Paul Roll, it was shortly after 9 p.m. when the scene unfolded on Eaton Road.
Both persons were at home when two men came to the resident, knocked on the door, and as the occupant got up to open, the assailants then began discharging shots into the door with the use of a high-powered weapon. The first individual was struck and he collapsed there at the door.
Rose says the other man met a similar fate.
The second victim attempted to run upstairs to escape these individuals, who continued shooting, and he collapsed. EMS visited the scene and pronounced both of these men dead on the scene. The individuals, from what we know, left running south across the Tonic-Darling Highway and disappeared into the bushes.
Our news team understands the shooting victims to be Omar Kelly and Ramel Roll. Family members of the men grieved as police combed the crime scene for clues. There's a chance that the shooters were familiar with the home, as Chief Superintendent Roll noted that the culprits entered through the front of the property and made their escape through the back.
They jumped across the wall to the rear of the house and made their way south, which I would assume across the street.
Witnesses, anybody saw, anybody else was at the house when this was happening?
Yeah, the family members were present. His wife was here along with his young son. They were in the house at the time.
Eaton Road has been the site of several violent incidents, including 2 separate shooting incidents in 2012, including that year's 42nd homicide. Additionally, a 54-year-old man was stabbed multiple times in that area in 2013. Police are asking anybody with information about this latest incident to contact them at 919 or Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. Jared Higgs, ZNS Network News.
Well, as the murder count climbs, members of the religious community are in agreement that drastic measures must be taken to fight the war on crime. At a recent press conference, clergymen noted that crime is not a police problem, but a social one. Pastor of New Bethany Baptist Church, Bishop Victor Cooper, says he supports the idea of a curfew, especially for young Bahamians who are leaning toward criminal activity.
There are a number of teenagers who are out for whatever reason at night and who are themselves getting involved in serious criminal activity. And so I certainly support that idea. Some years ago I lived in Florida and I lived in Opa-locka. And Opa-locka did 2 things that I recall. One was they put in an ordinance for those young men who used to drop their pants below their bottom. And an ordinance was put in that they're not going to be allowed to do that. It was enforced. Additionally, because of the crime activity, another ordinance was put in so that there was a curfew in place. It worked because it was enforced.
Former F&M Senator John Bostwick was back in court today to pay his $15,000 fine after being convicted of possession of ammunition. Bostwick was arrested last December after 10 rounds of .22 ammunition was found in a clip in his bag while at the Grand Bahama International Airport. During the trial, Bostwick testified that he believed he had been set up and that anyone could have tampered with the bag. However, Magistrate Andrew Forbes rejected his defense and ruled that he was satisfied Bostwick had the bag in his possession and control. Bostwick attorneys have already filed appeal papers.
President of the Police Staff Association, Inspector Dwight Smith, has been cleared of assault charges. This after Magistrate Gilomena Archer expressed doubt about the prosecution's case and ruled in his favor. We spoke with Smith's attorney, Devard Francis, about that ruling.
It was extremely ecstatic. I mean, as lawyers, you know, many of us, we sometimes take persons' feelings for granted because we're around the courts every day, and so we're sometimes sedated. The police surely had confidence in him, and this is a happy day in my mind for those members of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, because Mr. Smith has fought hard and he's shown fortitude in the midst of adversity.
Well, if you know of a crime, please call Crime Stoppers at 328-8477. You can also reach them toll-free at 242-300-8477. You can also check out their website at www.crimestoppersbahamas.com. Let's stop the crime before it's your time.